Hi BookTube, how's it going? My name is Juan, I am just one reader, and I don't usually do Friday Reads videos, even though I really enjoy watching them, but I've never been one to constantly update my reading like on a weekly basis, so I don't usually do Friday Reads. However, I really wanted to do one of those Friday Reads updates today because I think my reading has fallen to the wayside. Like I feel like my reading has been suffering quite a bit lately. I have found myself very busy because of work and patience and my psych training. It's become quite heavy, quite intense. I am now doing my fourth year of training as a psychoanalyst, and so I am now doing another portion of the training, which is much more deep and much more intensive, and it's very chaotic, and it's the best thing in the world for me, but it does consume pretty much every single moment of my waking life. And so even though I have been reading a lot for my training program, I have been very neglectful about my own personal reading for pleasure. So I wanted to make this video sort of as a reminder to myself, to remind myself of the books that I was reading and that I have neglected horribly, and also the books that I am very excited to continue reading. So, firstly, I just want to talk about the book that I have been reading the most, which is the one book that I've been reading for my training program, which is one of Sigmund Freud's cases. I am taking my second Freud seminar. We are very, very precisely, we're doing an analysis of Freud's cases, the cases that Sigmund Freud studied and talked about throughout his work. And we are doing a very fine, deep, profound, precise analysis and a discussion. More than anything else, it's a discussion to see how we would see these patients today, so we are comparing Freud's beginning, emerging psychoanalytical technique. We are comparing that to modern technique and modern theories. So it's very interesting. This case in particular is incredibly interesting. I am having the time of my life. He is a patient that is incredibly theatrical and conflicted and absolutely neurotic, just very, very fun case. In case you're interested, it's the famous Ratman case, the Ratman, and it's a blast. It's so incredible. But you can see that that this book is taking a lot of time for me to read, because I am writing on the margins of each page. Each page, like there's not a single page of this book that I haven't either highlighted or written some annotations on. It's this is why reading Freud is so complicated. Some people just read Freud without taking so much care, and that's why many people, in my opinion, do not understand Freud, and more often than not misunderstand Freud. What Freud is saying here is just incredible. It's been more and more, it's been confirmed by neuroscience, and it's incredible to see that emergent thought in here. So that's what I've been reading for, I guess, academic purposes. But now the three books that I was reading before I started reading the Ratman case, and these are the three books that I would like to dedicate a little bit of time, at least this weekend, are, well, first of all, Lolita. I am reading Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, and this might be one of the best books that I've ever read, and I am very, very guilty and very sad about the fact that I have been so neglectful with it. I started reading it and I was completely dazzled, and I was just completely amazed, astonished about everything, about the writing, of course, which is very almost arrogant, or very arrogant. The writing is so precious and so excessively beautiful that it is overwhelming, but it's there for a reason. Also, the subject matter, of course, is very irksome. It's very cringeworthy, but at the same time, it is incredibly seductive. And I am finding this book absolutely incredible and so important. And it's so refreshing to read something like this, considering that we are now living in the world, in the culture of the political correctness, which there's nothing that I hate more than political correctness. That's the thing that really gets me going. I just hate people who are like that, you know the kind of people that I mean. People who are always offended and finding things to fight for. But anyway, that's another discussion. But it is very refreshing and wonderful to read a book as daring and as subversive and gutsy. A book that has chutzpah. Chutzpah. I love that word. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Chutzpah. So yeah, I am absolutely marveled. I have been marveling about every single aspect of this book, but I've only read the first third. So I still need to read the following 2/3 of it. It's a book that I haven't really dedicated a lot of time, but it's such an intensive reading experience that I pick it up from time to time, and I read maybe 2 or 3 pages, and then it's so intensive and so beautiful and gorgeous that it overwhelms me, and I put it back on the shelf. So it's taking a long time, but I don't care. I don't care if it takes me a couple of months to read this book. I am really enjoying it. But I do need to just sit down for a couple of hours and just dedicate a big chunk of time to reading it. Then I was also reading this short story collection by Kelly Link, Stranger Things Happen, and I read the first two and the first three, and it's good. It's not as good as the other Kelly Link collection that I read, but it's enjoyable, so I might read one story at least this weekend. And finally, the other book that I have been neglecting is this one, and this is a book that I feel very guilty about because I started reading the bookshop book by our very own Jen Campbell in 2018. I think I started reading this in September or something like that. Like, I've been reading this book slowly as hell. It's okay because it's not a novel, it is a nonfiction sort of almost dictionary of bookshops around the world, and it is so interesting and so cozy and so cool. And it's perfect for a person who enjoys reading. Here you can see the big Ateneo bookshop, which I was in. I was there last year. I actually made a video here in my channel in which I am posting some photos of this place. So yeah, it's a great book, but I just have to realize that I will be reading this for many months to come. So no pressure. I'm not. I'm trying not to feel guilty about this. I have a lot on my plate, but I do want to at least make a big dent on Lolita because it's such a wonderful book. Like, it is a 5 out of 5 star book for me at the moment. So I'm really interested in it, but at the same time, it's not a book that you can read very easily or very fast. It's the opposite of a compulsive read, in my opinion. So anyway, those are the books. Thanks for watching. And before I go, I wanna sing a little song that will probably be heard this Sunday, which is Oscar Sunday. Tell me something, boy. Aren't you tired trying to fill that void? Or do you need more? Ain't it hard keeping it so hardcore? I'm falling. In all the good times I find myself longing for change. In all the bad times I fear myself. I'm of the deep end, watch as I dive in. I'll never meet the ground. Crash through the surface where they can't hurt us. We're far from the shallow now. In the shallow, shallow. In the shallow now. In the shallow, shallow. We're far from the shallow now. Oh, I'm of the deep end, watch as I dive in. I'll never meet the ground. Crash through the surface where they can't hurt us. We're far from the shallow now. I hope that song wins. I mean, I really like that movie. I would like for it to win at least an Oscar.